Happy New Year, viewers out there. It's another great weekend. The first of its kind. You're welcome to Standpoint. The trending issues of the week. This is where we look at them during the weekend. Thank you very much for joining us again. And let me start by introducing my guest today. I have Honorable Babajimi Benson representing the Ikorodu Federal Constituency. Thank you very much for joining us. And also I have Mr. Daniel Akinlami, Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, you see, the year 2016 has been a very rough time for Nigeria, because that year Nigeria was officially declared bankrupt. According to, it was, what's it called? How did you call it again? Nigeria was officially declared to be in a state of recession. And the currency also, which is Naira, plummeted against the dollar. And over 20 states of the Federation were unable to pay salaries and pensions. The price of the nation's #1 source of revenue, which is oil, fell into all-time low and compounded with vandalism in the Niger Delta region. However, towards the end of the year, the country began to gain some respite from the gradual recovery of oil prices to decrease in vandalization of oil facilities. We shouldn't also forget recent victories being recorded by our troops in the northeastern part of the country, most especially the return of 22 Chibok girls and the takeover of the Sambisa forest. But as Nigerians eagerly looked forward to a better and more prosperous 2017 for themselves and the country, on the program today, we will try in as much as possible to analyze the expectation for the year 2017. Happy New Year once again, viewers. And don't forget, you can also be part of our conversation by calling in immediately. The phones lines open. My name is Dakbo Aruwaje. We need to go on this short break. When we'll come back, we'll continue with my guest. Don't go anywhere. So welcome back. I told you before that we have two of our guests again today. I have Honorable Babajimi Benson representing Ikorodu constituency, federal constituency. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I told you I have Daniel Akelami, a public affairs analyst. Thank you also, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you.
Gentlemen have a list of what the expectations, what President Buhari and the ministers should be looking at talking about this year. And I have economic recession, Naira, job creation, a whole lot to be discussed. But let me refer to the speech of the president, talking about the New Year speech. He said, I'll show you again that the current pains are temporary and will ease when the economic seed in gestation begin to bloom fruition. What do you think, sir? Talking about economic recession, we've been into this. I first said we were bankrupt, almost. We could say we were bankrupt. What do you think? How do we get out of where we found ourselves ASAP, as soon as possible?
Yes, thank you very much. Viewers, wish you a Happy New Year. Firstly, I'd like to say that what happened last year is what is called the Black Swan event. It's an event that was totally unforeseeable. The administration came in on the mantra of change, but a lot of things happened that were outside his remit. For instance, the price of oil plummeted. It crashed from an all-time high of about $100 per barrel to 30s, in its 30s, yeah. So also the Niger Delta militants also reduced the amount of oil we were supplying to the international market. Our output fell from about 2.2 million barrels to about 600. So that also impacted on our revenue stream. And nowadays they say we live in a VUCA world. VUCA is an acronym used by Americans to talk about very challenging times. VUCA means volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So all that affected us in 2016. But hopefully in 2017, we know what to expect. And
what should we be expecting?
Yes, the budget estimates are out. Mr. President tendered his budget in December 2016, and oil price was fixed at about 40.
Yes,
42.5 dollars per barrel. It is selling at $58 now. So which already means that we have about a $16 income.
Yes.
You know, so if you time that $16
by 2.2,
by 2.2, and by 360 days, it gives us a revenue projection, additional revenue projection of close to $15 million.
So that is if we make 2.2.
Yes. What he has also done again that would make us ramp up to 2.2 is that the budget for the militants, the amnesty program, has been increased from the 2016 projection of $20 million to, I think, $66 million. So there's more money in the kitty to use to appease the militants in the Niger Delta, and thus giving us a corresponding opportunity to ramp up production to 2.2 million barrels. But the key question is, what would we do with that additional $15 billion that would be in the kitty?
But can you keep that the same question? What will we do with the additional? Let me go to Daniel now and get his own pulse about what should we be expecting, talking about the economic recovery now.
Well, I think if we look at it first at the angle of the budget, this should be the instrument that should take Nigeria out of this present recession.
So it's the budget of growth and recovery.
Yes, this 2017 budget. But my worry is that there is nothing much in terms of difference from this proposed budget and the previous one.
This one is 7.298 trillion.
And I could remember
6.06 trillion.
Yes, the VP at some point was even saying this budget may not be able to do much in terms of infrastructure. So, but where I'm actually trying to come is the issue of the unrest in the Niger Delta. And I think we have not actually captured the essence of what really came upon us in 2016. Part of the crisis that weighed us down was this crisis in the Niger Delta. Apart from the oil price that went low as $30 per barrel, at some point we were meant to be producing 2.2 million barrel per barrel in a day. So, and when the crisis was the height of it, we went low as 1.4 million per barrel. So even now it has improved a bit to like 1.6 or 1.8.
So 1.8.
Now the crisis has not been resolved, and we make the 2017 budget on 2.2 million barrel, per day. The feasibility that we can achieve this is not there. Now, if we look at the militant allowances that were taken care of recently,
at least like 90 billion is going into the Niger Delta region. 90 billion.
I don't think
from the budget.
I don't think that decision alone is sufficient to resolve the entire crisis. That's what I want to point out. The allowances for the militant is a different thing to the agitation by the different militant groups.
Yes.
That has to do with the some warlord, including Tompolo's issue, the university that was removed, suspended from the area where it was supposed to be, and other attending issues, that have intertwined with this crisis. So now the first decision has been made, which the first step, right step, taking care of the militant allowances, even though that does not give a long-time solution to the crisis, but at least federal government is taking care of responsibility in that area. But I think there should be a need for federal government to revisit some of the proposals by the elders of the Niger Delta.
Okay.
We are aware there was a meeting between
Yes.
the president and these elders late last
they
year.
dropped some,
so something
proposals.
tangible need to be done. And if we fail to plan and be proactive now, the year is still young. We may still end up, battling with this crisis and still be producing between 1.4 to 1.8 million barrels per day.
And they say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Wonderful. And let me go back to you, because you were saying that if we'll make 2.2 million barrels per day, and the projection were about is that's $42.5 per barrel, and that means if it's selling for 30 something now, that means we have some extra cash.
50 something, you mean?
Yes, 50 something. So yeah, 50 something. Thank you very much. We have some extra cash. So what do you think we can do with the extra cash? And that is where, that is how we landed in this trouble. We failed to save. That's the major problem with this country. All we did then, when people will say then, even Okonjo-Iwealas of this world were shouting then, let us save. And some governors were saying, why don't we just spend the money? So what do you think?
Thank you very much for that question. There's two schools of thoughts. There's the people who always advocate for the SWF, that is Sovereign Wealth Fund, and others who say, why are you saving for the rainy day when you're hungry? But it takes tremendous scrutiny and analysis to find out what the best option is. But what I think I prefer is a situation whereby we invest in the SWF. As you all know, the SWF has 3 funds under it: the Infrastructure Fund, the Future Generations Fund, which is because oil is an infinite product. So we also need to, which doesn't belong to this generation alone. It belongs to the entire generation coming thereafter. And there's a consolidation fund, or stabilization fund, which is a fund that you plug into when you have gaps or issues or whatever. So one way, if you're a conservative, you would say, let's save this. Let's use the infrastructure funds. Let's intervene in critical infrastructure areas. Let's keep the next for the future generation. And let's have a stabilization fund that we can draw up when we have big issues. That is one school of thought. The other school of thought will be like, we have this money now, cost-benefit analysis, value of money. If we don't build this bridge today, the value of the bridge in 5 years' time can triple. So it takes we need to address those issues very, very critically. And also, there's also a constitutional amendment requirement as well, because the Constitution doesn't allow us to do SWF.
Okay, so let's talk about that. You have a motion talking about that, right?
No, I don't have a motion. I don't have a motion,
Okay.
but there are issues that come up pertaining to that most of the time on the floor of the House.
Okay.
So at least there's a bill asking that SWF be incorporated into our daily lives. For instance, in Norway, the SWF, if they were to split the money, it will make each Norwegian a millionaire.
Wow.
So those are areas we can also look up into. That other money as well can also be used, because the budget is also to be financed by borrowing. So it would also, if we're going to divert it into the budget, it will reduce how much we would have to borrow, either locally or internationally.
Okay. All right, Daniel, because I've learned something for that. You said we could save, we should save. What do you think? But it depends on your thought, really, or the school of thought.
The reality we are facing now is difficult to say that the federal government can save from this excess revenue. It's very difficult. There's a government that is still looking for about $30 billion loan. Okay? And then we have a shortfall of revenue. Look at 2016, we estimated about 2 trillion from crude sales. And eventually, that's 2 trillion based on 2.2 million barrels per day. So, and you saw all the crises that attended the year, and at the end, I'm not sure we made more than 1.2 trillion. Okay, so we're quite behind the targets for revenue. So now this $16 extra may not be able to make much difference in maybe sovereign wealth fund or SS crude account because we have pressure. The revenue has reduced. So eventually,
they cannot even pay salaries. Some states can't even pay
eventually, what this SS revenue may do is to quickly help the state of infrastructure. Perhaps maybe for some supplementary budgets. So that's what we may eventually have.
Because let's get to talk about the budget.
To go into saving with it,
yes,
it's not yet feasible.
Because the money is marked for even the Ministry of what's it called, housing, power, and which Babajide is not too good for the year 2017. That's what I'm saying. So we could still even get some other monies so as to make sure our infrastructure goes on. Right?
Well, I think the government is really pushing in every direction in the area of tax. You can see the ban on the importation of vehicles through the land border. It's part of the new measure to drive the tax revenue. And I even learned there are some medicine too that they are placing the whole lot on. And so they are driving, but with the reality on ground, the projection about tax may not be able to turn things around in the next 1-2 years. Tax will build up. Before Lagos got to this point, it took Lagos to about 12 years during the Tinubu era to really build a robust tax system. So then it still brings us back to the issue of the loan. Because the government has to, I think part of the problem in 2016 was that it was estimated that about 2 trillion will be borrowed to fund the budget. But I think the government didn't drive that aspect early in the year. And also don't forget that the budget wasn't passed on time too. So by the time it was passed, crisis here and there, and before you could go to the international community to push for that money, it was late. So if we're borrowing this year, I think the best thing is that government must put the machinery in place on time and push the drive for it too.
All right, because talking about motions and talking about recovering economically wise, we're talking about the motion you passed, the special economic benefit for states above 10 million population. And this is not about special status like the one they've been canvassing for Lagos. Can you tell us how this is going to help the economy?
It was actually a bill requesting for an amendment to the Constitution. What that bill sought to do was to grant economic benefits to states that have a population of 10 million and over, and also consider states that have the aspiration to have over 10 million. It's a worldwide strategy. It's called the wild geese theory, whereby you identify 2 or 3 states that are doing well, and the federal government assists them by granting them those special economic benefits. One of those states that we talked about was Kano, and another was Anambra. Kano because as far back as about 20 years ago, I used to work in a law firm. We were doing business with a British firm. One of my clients, a houseman from Kano, was exporting leather to the UK and was earning 10 million pounds per month.
That was then?
That was then. In Kano also, you had the textile industry that hired thousands and thousands of people. You had the pyramids, the agricultural products and produces as well.
The granite also.
But today, it's sad that the federal government of Nigeria has no direct impact to further the activities of those benefits from that state. And Kano has a huge population as well. Imagine if federal government said, you know what, let's harness these things together. Let's do this together. Let's expand this. 1, it will curb migration problems. 2, it will increase the GDP of Kano, increase the GDP of Nigeria. 3, it will make Kano a migration post as well. Now, leave Kano alone. Let's go to Anambra. I hear Anambra has the Onitsha market, which is one of the biggest markets in Africa. Imagine if the federal government of Nigeria said, you know what, come, let's work together. Let's make this the best market in sub-Saharan Africa that would attract people from Dubai and all over the place to come and do. Onitsha market is known for innovation, creativity, and things like that. But the federal government of Nigeria is not harnessing or adding value, tremendous value to what they have. So same for Lagos. Lagos is, I call it the Miami of Nigeria. Lagos has so much potential, so much capacity.
The budget of 813 billion.
Yeah. So what we're asking for is that those type of states that can form the fulcrum, that can lead Nigeria, should be given special economic benefits. By special economic benefits, I mean that they retain the federally generated revenues within their territories, retain at least 20 to 25% of it to expand their infrastructure base. By doing that, other states will aspire to follow that formation and do well.
But not the population, though. They won't aspire to be 10 million above.
No,
the
they will,
population.
because it is when you aspire. If you have, you see, I remember a saying by former President Obama. He says that America is rich, not because it can afford to build infrastructure. America is rich because its infrastructure makes it rich. So a state can build infrastructure. That infrastructure will attract people. The people there will trade. There will be a lot of commerce. Population will come in. And if that happens, the state will be able to, I mean, if the bill is passed, that state will be able to also tap into 25% of federally generated revenue within that the geographical space it occupies.
Wonderful, wonderful. Talking about the Naira now, what do you think we should do to make the dollar go up to be appreciated? What do you think we can do ASAP also?
Well, I don't think there's much to say now. People have weighed in on this, shared ideas on what policy we should follow. I think 2017, the federal government should be more strict. Perhaps we should have one clear-cut foreign exchange policy.
Like we have plenty.
Like what we had in 2016 was really confusion. In the midst of recession, you can't make your economy to be open to 3, 4, 5
exchange rates.
Yes, foreign exchange rates. So I think that area, the economic team of Mr. Buhari and the CBN, they need to work together. Because one of the things that can take us out of this recession quickly is our ability to handle this scarcity of dollars in the economy. And part of the problem, that we were facing in 2016 was the fact that we got to the point that the FDI disappeared. And the manufacturers were grounded because there was no dollar for them to import their raw materials.
Yes.
So then the crisis escalated to the point that you now see about 3, 4 rates in the market. People going on pilgrimage had another rate.
Yes.
Manufacturers were given a different rate. Then the bankers had their different rates.
They changed the parallel market.
And those paying for educational services abroad had a different rate. So we need to tackle that area. We must be able to get to a round table this time around. The year is still young. Let the government work with CBN and let them come to term. I think we've tried all sorts of approaches, sending soldiers after the Bureau de Market, and we've not achieved much. So then I think we should look at a sound policy that can help these foreign exchange rates to stabilize.
Do you concur?
Yes, market forces would always play a role in demand and supply. Definitely the forex we have, there's so much demand for it, so it pushes the prices up. And it doesn't help commerce when you have 5 or 6 exchange rates. They say that money is promiscuous. It goes to the best place where it can get a good return on investment. Nigeria now is an investment haven because there are a lot of infrastructure issues and problems you have. Our infrastructures are derelict. So investors ought to be rushing here to come and invest. But what is hampering them has to do with exchange. When you have 5 exchange rates, they bring in money at this rate. They are not sure of what rate they would use to take it out. So we need to fashion out a clear-cut policy that will allow these people easy access, easy exit. And also, we also need the way the exchange rate is structured. One of the other ways we get Forex is these diaspora remittances. I hear the value is about 20 billion. But the way the exchange rate is structured, it pays somebody overseas to send money physically through their brother or their sister traveling to Nigeria than to go through the system, because the system gives you a lower rate. So like my colleague rightly said, we need to sit down and fashion out the best policy, the best exchange rates that will take us to the promised land. The present exchange rate is pegged at 305 to the dollar in the president's budget. I am not too sure that that's the way to go, because the reality on the market is that the exchange rate value is about 500. So if you peg it at 300, how are we going to, the average Joe who imports, going to benefit for the 305? There will be a lot of bureaucracy in the banking, in the Forex market, in the banks. And how would he have access to that? It will create a lot of bottleneck and make them patronize the black market.
All right, then. Wonderful. And that takes us to this short break, and where we'll come back, a lot to be discussed right after this break. So welcome back. You're still watching the first episode of Standpoint for the year 2017. And I've been having a chat with Honorable Babajimi Benson, representing Ikorodu, our federal constituency. Thank you for staying tuned. And also I have Mr. Daniel Akelemi, also in the studio. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Thank you.
Okay, let me go to you now, Daniel. Let's talk about the war against corruption. Do you think the tempo, the perceived tempo that we have, like people like Magu at the FCC going with now, do you think that's what should, or what will be retained or should be retained? Or and you know, Magu has not been confirmed as a substantive chairman of the EFCC. Should he? Or because they said they've got a skeleton in his cupboard. What do you think?
I think the war on corruption seems to be going down gradually. And with the spate of events that happened late last year, especially in December, about Magu's confirmation, and some individuals in the presidency too been suspected to have collected bribe, and another person indicted with the IDP's money. Some of us, some of us that actually supported Buhari, clamored for Buhari. There are many people, many of our viewers, many Nigerians that not because of Mr. President's ability to turn the economy around, but because of the fight against corruption, voted for Buhari. So many of us who have this passion, and that this man will do a good job to stop the impunity and the draining of the national resources. Many of us are now getting apprehended. And we are getting apprehension, so to say. And we are beginning to worry that are we on the right track as far as this fight against corruption is concerned. Now, we have about 1.5 years gone. We have not seen a single high-profile suspect nailed, prosecuted successfully, and sentenced.
But you know our system, the law system, the judicial system, it takes a while before you get someone nailed.
Well, notwithstanding, I think the government still need to put more fight. There is aspect of strengthening the laws, putting in new bills, new legislation to stop. We have not seen anything in that direction at all. New legislation to strengthen the system, that people cannot dip their hand into some of these monies easily anymore. We have not seen much work in that area. But as far as the ones that we see, let me give you a reference to the Senate President trial. This trial has been going around the circle. And somewhere along the line last year, the trial became double. Another extension from the forging of House Senate rules.
Yes.
You know, then that was going on. Suddenly, it was withdrawn. Okay. Now, look at the scene that we saw towards the end of the session in the Senate. These individuals now so bold, so they have confidence, and the manner they handle Magu. A year ago, these are the guys that were shaking at the hearing of the name of Magu. But look at that session where Magu's name was rejected. It looks like a triumphant.
Are you saying corruption is fighting back?
Obviously, corruption is fighting back.
Okay.
Obviously. So that is where our apprehension is that Mr. President needs to rejig this fight against corruption this year.
Let me go to Honorable Jimmy. What do you think, Baba Jimmy? And what do you think? Because the sheriff is still the sheriff that talking about Muhammadu Buhari. But the problem is people are saying even the legislative arm of the government, the green chamber, the red chamber, are not even helping out. What do you think?
Yes, I would say yes or no. I would say that the Green Chamber has done its best to support the anti-corruption stance of this administration. I would say that Magu's case is still, there's no decision yet on it. And I would always say that the rule of law, yes, also recognizes the fact that justice must be done and that justice must be seen to be done. There's like an indictment already at the upper chamber on him. That needs to be thoroughly investigated because, for instance, if you ask my opinion if he's guilty or not, I would say I don't know.
No, until
proven guilty.
Otherwise.
If you do a thorough forensic analysis on the report, it could come out that those allegations are true. It could turn out that they are false. So jumping on one side of the divide would make me a non-democrat. I would like the law, the process to be seen, to be credible. Whatever they have against him should be made known to the public. If he has a right of action against it, he can pursue that angle. So for me, I don't think the anti-corruption toga of the Buhari administration is optimal. I think there's still a lot that can be done. The Attorney General instituted a team of senior advocates of Nigeria to prosecute high-profile cases of corruption. And I'm sure that that team will roll into full steam in this 2017 we're in. I also read that there's a whistleblower act. 5%. So those are initiatives that would help corruption be exposed.
But can I ask a question? Because the whistleblower thing, is it going to work out? Because the chief whistleblower, talking about Jibrin in the House of Representatives, have been sidelined to one corner. How do you think the whistleblower thing is going to work?
Yes, I think it's going to work. I think it's going to work. And I think that Jubril hasn't been sidelined. I think he's under suspension. And he's challenged his suspension in court. He has a right to do that. The House of Representatives also has a right to deal with its members. Whether they've done the good thing or the bad thing, the matter is sub judice in court, and the decision will be reached appropriately and in a very short time.
Okay, wonderful. Let's talk about the fight against insecurity again. We'll go to the Boko Haram defeat in the Sambisa forest and also the return of some Chibok girls. But let's quickly go to these southern Kaduna killings. It's been there that the president has come out full force now to say, no, this has got to stop, it's madness. But some are saying it's coming late from the president, though he's made his own assertion then. I don't have to say anything really as a president, but people are saying you should say something. It concerns you. You're the president, the CNC. What do you think?
Well, I think it's still the same problem that escalated in Benue State. It's similar situation.
Yes.
And this kind of scenario also happened in Plateau State a few years back.
Yes.
I think the federal government need to have a proactive approach. This thing started about 4 or 5 months ago. That is the time we should have nipped it in the bud before it got escalated to this point.
Yes.
The people have been crying. The villages were being raised far back 6 months ago. It started slowly, but nobody paid attention. The same thing that happened in Benue State late 2015 and last year too. It has gone down now, but we've not provided a solution. So it can be triggered at any time again.
Yes.
So I think the governor need to work with the presidency to provide, because this looking bigger than the state issue now is overwhelming for the governor. So there should be an approach to get the cattle rearers, a way to get their union, association to be involved in this peacemaking. I think the leader of the Mahati Allah made a press conference recently, maybe this week, trying to calm the nerves. But I think they need to do more. If government is going to set up a committee, those guys should be involved. And these villages, the leaders in those villages, like where the crisis now, Southern Kaduna, government should get all the people to be part of the solution. And more so, we need to be more proactive, because if we are still negotiating and talking to people, there should be a task force on the ground to maintain peace.
Okay.
Before we can have a clear-cut direction how the whole issue can be resolved. But this thing now, if we don't tame it in Southern Kaduna, it still has the potential to spread to other states.
Okay.
And that's where the problem is. Okay. So the security apparatus within the NSA's power and the concerned security forces from the IG to the military, they need to work together. We must have a way to curtail these incidences. There are human beings, there are Nigerians involved carrying out these crises. So there must be a homegrown solution within these Kaduna people. From the north and the south of Kaduna, there must be homegrown solution that government must look at and present. Bring all the sides together. And let's see how we can resolve it.
Honorable Benson, we should stop the bloodshed once and for all. What do you think we should do?
My answer is simple. My answer is introduction of state police. It is the inhabitants of that area that know who the criminal elements are. In a situation where the governor of a state would have to call Abuja for things, it makes things cumbersome and it makes him unproactive. So I think the most practical way of nipping this matter in the bud once and for all is for everyone to back the constitutional amendment to recognize states having their own police. If the state police is overcharged, then they can request for federal forces to come out. Also, there's poverty in the land. They say that religion is the opium of the poor. If you cannot make ends meet, you tend to be more violent, more reactionary, and more prone to cause mayhem. So I believe that if everybody enjoys the dividends of democracy, what they voted for, everybody voted for change, if that comes into fore, it will lessen the tension and the apprehension in the land. Okay,
because you mentioned state police. Can we say the initiative of the Lagos state government talking about the neighborhood watch is a good one? And because from your constituency, there's been a lot of madness happening there, kidnappings, a whole lot going on there. Do you think the state police will curtail all this happening?
Yes, I just didn't want to bring in Lagos state into this because Lagos state has been the standard bearer. We'll talk about their legislature, talk about their proactiveness, talk about their policies.
Revenue generation.
So it's only in Nigeria where you see you have 36 children and one of your children is doing well. You should take the templates from that child that is doing well and copy it across board. The federal government of Nigeria should see Lagos as its beautiful bride.
So the neighborhood watch should be
that's like a local policing initiative. those locals know who the troublemakers are.
So
Same
it
should
goes
be
along with-
replicated in Kaduna and every other place. I would see immediate value.
Okay, have our first caller, Mazi Okurafo. Good afternoon. Mazi, are you there?
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, that's Comrade Mazi Patrick Okorokrafo from our Joe Blue Village.
Okay, sir.
Honestly speaking, good afternoon, our guests in the studio. You see, I would suggest for this 2017 expedition, Nigerian government should call on the governors. The governors in each state should call on the local government chairmen and the councillors to tap their own natural resources this year, 2017. By the time they start this and make sure, I don't think the Nigerians will be depending on the budget from the federal government allocation every year. Now, let's look at Arera Market. Arera Market is a very big place in Abia State. Now, if Nigeria will patronize all those things produced in Arera Market, the raw materials are there, the manpower is there, the financial process is there. If we patronize made in Nigeria, I think we target first. America, Russia, Germany will not say about, not talk about China, because as far as I'm concerned, I don't buy anything from China. The market variables and environmental factors, we have not looked into these things. If we are looking into the market variables and environmental factors, we tackle them squarely. I bet you the sky is our limit. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mazi. Let's quickly talk about the feat against Boko Haram. I brought a colonel here on the program, on another program. It was saying that we have won a battle, and that's talking about the feat in Sambisa Forest, but the war is still on. Do you think is that what you think also?
Well, I think sound judgment, sound reasoning will tell us that we need to celebrate cautiously the defeat of Boko Haram in the Sambisa, or the taking of Sambisa Forest. So, because I believe as well that the war is still on. The war is still on until we get Shekau and the other factional leader, is that Abanawi or what is it?
Yeah.
The Yusuf son.
Yes.
Until we get them arrested or they are killed, and the key leaders of this sect that are following them are also taken to custody, we cannot totally say these guys are gone. Now, we can take over territories, like we've taken Sambisa from their hands now. And by the time they got there, they've escaped with their weapons. So that means right now, they are hiding somewhere else now. Still planning, only God, what God knows. So we must not rest and begin to think, oh, we've chased those guys away. Even I have a fear for most of the people returning to their villages in all those suburb area of Borno State. If adequate security is not provided for those guys, it's not
anything can happen.
Yes, anything can happen. They still have their splinter group here and there trying to strike once in a while. Thank God the suicide bombing thing is being tamed properly now, and the soldiers are at their peak in handling that area now.
And even the civilians also.
Yes, if you see what has been happening recently, before they detonate the bomb, they take them down. Even there were about 3 girls that were killed recently too. They were killed before they could detonate the bomb, and that was very commendable. So I think we should not rest. We should not assume it's over. So the army should keep pushing. At this point, our intelligence gathering needs to increase.
I need to take a call from Enugu. Good morning. Good afternoon. Sorry.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Dapo.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon to the guests in the studio.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. See, Dapo.
Yes.
Let's tell ourselves the truth. The economy managers of this country, this administration, cannot take us to the bridge, not to talk of crossing it. We have to tell ourselves the truth.
Why did you say so?
Presently, you see what is happening. There is no blueprint. See, let's just tell ourselves the truth. We all know, we have conscience. No matter how we play, we can't play at our conscience. These guys that are there, the president has to act fast. He still has the opportunity to do something. Now, if he's listening, he still has the opportunity to amend everything. Now, according to the corruption fight, the president should look inwards. Let me tell you, presently, was it 2 days ago, one of the ministers was passing. oh guy, there is no difference between them and now.
Okay.
I can tell you.
All right. Then. So you
There
should
is
look.
no difference.
You should look inwards. That's what you're saying.
He should look inward.
All right. Then. Thank you so much.
See,
That's all I can take because of time. Thank you so much. And let's talk about the fight against Boko Haram. And we should think of rebuilding the northeastern part of the country because what you were saying, we need to take care of some loopholes before the monster comes back in a larger form. What about that again? And even also, are we doing the radicalization of these people? Are we thinking of that? The Ministry of the NOA, are they doing something? I can't see what they're doing.
Thank you very much for that question. Firstly, I must commend the Nigerian military for flushing the insurgents or the militants or the Boko Haram fighters out of Sambisa forest. It is no mean feat because I'm told that the Sambisa forest alone, the territory, is as big as Belgium in Europe. So kudos to them. But I believe that some of these hardline Boko Haram fighters have been indoctrinated. So the Boko Haram is in their hearts. So they might have rushed into new territories and blah, blah, blah. So it still goes back to poverty. If a man has a good job to do, he won't be radicalized because they always...
Okay, sorry. I need to take this call from Ikorodu. John, good
Yes.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the issue of Boko Haram. Hello?
Hello, yeah, we're listening, John.
Yeah, I want to comment the issue of Boko Haram.
Okay.
The problem that we have now is, even at the headline, we received information that the Boko Haram beheaded 15 hunters. So when we are claiming that we have gone down the Boko Haram, whereas there is a lot of to do, we give confidence to people, and Boko Haram is gaining many ground. So there is need, rather than bringing newspaper visit, to go directly and make sure that this is done.
Okay.
This morning, another channel that beheaded 15 hunters in Borno.
Wow.
So the things are still going wrong.
I know.
Thank you.
Know. Thank you so much, John. And again, remember, a Boko Haram member was caught in Ikorodu also. A wanted Boko Haram member. So what do you think? Do you think because you said it's poverty. I remember Abdul Talab. Abdul Talab wasn't hungry. You remember the one that was called the pant, bomb with the pants bomber. What's it called? It wasn't hungry because it was radicalized also.
Yes, I'm saying that majority of the people who commit those suicide bombings have been indoctrinated and they've been promised something. They promised their family X amount of money. They promised them something. They've said they'll be martyrs if they cause chaos and kill people. So it's indoctrination as well. But I believe that the real panacea is good jobs, good roads, feeding, employment. That would reduce it. I don't think there's anywhere, because Nigeria is a secular nation.
Okay.
I don't think it can be eradicated 100%, but we can reduce it and reduce the causal effects of it.
Okay. I have our last caller, Oluwaseyi from Ogun State. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Mr.
madam.
Dapo, how are you?
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yes, I have this to say.
Okay.
I've been listening to the speakers there. I think they're saying right things.
Okay.
But this is my contribution. Nigeria as a country, we have not attained the level of what I call the nationhood. We have to strive to attain that first. And how do we do that? With all we've been trying to achieve, one thing that is missing, and amongst other things, is love. We don't have love enough to really make this country work. No, considering the diversity.
Yes.
Now, apart from love, we have to really start speaking to one another the truth. It's very important.
Okay.
We've been living on lies and deceit. That's why we have not been able to forge ahead.
Okay.
We have to do that, and very quickly too.
Okay, so we need love and sincerity, right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Oluwaseyi. I would have loved to listen to you more, but we need to go now. Gentlemen, we have a minute to go. You could do it in some seconds, because the president said he's very optimistic that the change we all yearned for and we voted for we will receive or will achieve in 2017. Do you believe so?
Well, I have no choice than to believe so.
Okay.
And pray for him to do something, wonderful and great that can turn the economy around this year.
Wonderful.
But the truth is that the expectations of the people are going down compared to May 29, 2015, when he was sworn in.
So he needs to do something.
He has to do something.
He has to reshuffle the cabinet also.
Definitely, that should be things to consider.
All right, then, Daniel. Let me go to you. What do you think?
Yes, I think I'm optimistic that 2017 will be a turning point in the life of this country and this administration. I'm optimistic that the poverty index would be better this time around. I'm optimistic that a lot of Nigerians will be employed. I'm optimistic that we would get the dividends of democracy. We're already seeing it. The oil prices are going high, which means more money in the pocket of the federal government of Nigeria. I'm optimistic that Nigerians will continue to be on the throat of, because I always say that the beauty of democracy is that the people outside of government are more than the people in government. So they need to continue to knock on the door and expect positive things for this administration.
Wonderful.
If that happens, Nigeria would attain the eminence that it truly deserves.
Wonderful. Honorable Wajime Benson, member representing Ikorodu Federal Constituency. Thank you also, Daniel Akilami,
That's my
policy
pleasure.
analyst. And that's our package for today. Do join us next week for an interesting episode of The Standpoint. My name is Dakbo Aruajoy. Have a lovely weekend, and God bless Nigeria.